welcome to my demonstration. My name is Lawson Patton, and I will tell you, I am not a native of Tennessee. I've been in Tennessee almost 13 years. I'm a native of Georgia, but I'm a Southerner through and through. And pretty much everything that I do is Southern related as far as in the kitchen. For me, cooking and food, I think it's something we all can talk about in pretty much any scenario, particularly if we talk about memories, experiences with family and friends. We can always think back to a time that we spent at our grandmother's, and maybe there was a favorite dish that you enjoyed eating at your grandmother's. Maybe she could only make it like anyone else. I know that my aunt Frances, who was actually my mother's aunt, lived 2 doors down, and she was a lot like my grandmother, because my grandmother on my mother's side had passed away when I was very young. And it didn't matter when you went to her house, she always had a pound cake made. So for me, if I go somewhere and I see a pound cake, that's the first thing I think of. I think about that she had a window air conditioning unit. I just heard the ice machine come on, and it makes me think of that window unit. And she had these white curtains that they would kind of blow whenever that was on. She had a buffet table that she had her pound cake on. So, you know, people still talk about going to Aunt Frances' house and having pound cake, and really the only decision that you had to make was, were you going to have coffee or are you going to have sweet tea with your pound cake? So, can anyone, I just spoke about pound cake. Can any of you guys, is there something that you can tell me about a story about your family with regards to a food item that you can that always takes you back? Anybody? Your mom's pot roast. Was there anything special about how she prepared it?
I've never tasted anybody else cook it like she does. I mean, I've had plenty. Go to restaurant after restaurant, still can't get it the same way.
So it was just really probably your own personal touch. Have any of you ever tried to duplicate a recipe that someone in your family gave you and just didn't turn out right?
Yes.
I mean, I struggle with that all the time. What's that?
More ways than one.
Is there a particular one that you've had trouble with?
I quit.
Okay. Don't give up. That's what's fun about it. Another thing for me that I realize, and this will certainly go into what I show you tonight, is particularly Southerners, I think more so than any people, we're very passionate about our food. We're very passionate about how we prepare it, the ingredients that go into it. I think almost with regard to that, some of us would almost want to fight somebody and defend what we believe is the way to make something. So I'm going to be making pimento cheese tonight. Now, how many of you have never had pimento cheese? Never had pimento cheese. Well, my next question, how many of you, the only pimento cheese you've ever had is something in a container that you buy at the grocery store? All right? Can I just make a confession that yesterday was the first time I've ever had store-bought pimento cheese. I bought Mrs. Grissom's because she is a local company to Nashville. I wanted to be able to say that I'd had it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. It was sweeter than what I was used to. The consistency I was okay with, but it really, to me, didn't have much of a cheesy taste. I think if I had tried it when I closed my eyes, I don't know that I would have thought it was pimento cheese. Well, it's actually not even called pimento cheese. It's called premium cheese spread. So, you know, I know in Georgia, I don't think we had Mrs. Grissom's, but we had, I think there was a company called Roof's, there was a company called Mrs. Kinzer's, but anyway, I'm sure in other parts of the country, they have their own version of a pimento or a cheese spread. My mom made it, and this is her recipe. She worked at an Air Force base. So, as you can imagine, when you work at an Air Force base, you have a lot of people from a lot of different places kind of in your vicinity. And she would come home from having taken it to Moody Air Force Base and just really almost laugh about that there would be people that would make comments to her saying, I didn't know that you could make this at home. I thought you'd only buy it in a store. Well, you know, those of us who grew up eating homemade, you know, there's really no reason to buy it in the store. But that being said, I want to go ahead and jump into making it. Now, I do not use the pre-shredded cheese. If you read the ingredients of pre-shredded cheese, there's going to be a lot of ingredients there that you probably would not want to consume. Mainly, it's things to keep it from caking or sticking when you get ready to use it. I'm not going to tell you yet what I'm going to put in mine, but while I'm doing that, how do you ladies in the back make pimento cheese? Sharp cheese? What else? Use Velveeta?
Yeah, I use Velveeta.
What's Velveeta? Is that even real cheese? Okay. Okay.
And I usually put tomato and a little cream on mine.
What kind of cream?
Half and half.
Half and half? Okay. Anybody else out there got the ways they make their pimento cheese?
Sharp cheddar, cream cheese, tomato.
There you go.
I'm okay. Well, I've done that before. I'm going to give you guys some homework right now. When you have a chance, there is a video. I don't know who made the movie. It's actually a short film. And I know that it has some affiliation with the Southern Foodways Alliance. It's called Pimento Cheese Please. It's about 16 minutes long. You could Google Pimento Cheese Please and watch it. It's really interesting. There were a few things I didn't know. Originally, pimento cheese was not derived in the South. It originally came from the North. And it was cream cheese and pimento. So the other night, I made some pimento cheese with a block of cream cheese and a jar of pimentos, and it was okay. I mean, it certainly had a consistency that I liked, but it was just totally different than what I was used to. So what I've done, I'm actually going to half what I normally make in my recipe. I've taken 8 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese and just shredded it with my knuckle buster here. Now my sister uses her food processor. I just really like the way this comes out. I just really like the way it separates. And one thing that I do like to do is I like to set it out on the counter for about 30 minutes before I get ready to use it. I've taken a large jar, a 7-ounce jar of diced pimentos, and I've just kind of drained them a little bit in some paper towel in a bowl. You know, sometimes I don't mind if I have some of the liquid. Do you guys leave the liquid in and you take it out?
Leave some.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's very, I like the way that I just kind of like to dump it in there as fast as I can. And then I do not use Miracle Whip. I do not believe in it. In fact, that's what I noticed the first thing on the ingredient list for this premium cheese spread is salad dressing. So, you know, to each his own. I wasn't raised having that in the home, so I don't have any use for it. This is Duke's. Duke's is my favorite mayonnaise. Any other Duke's fans out there? You know, I came to the Wilson County Fair one year and I saw someone from Duke's just kind of on a weird set, like almost out of the way, and had little mini jars and coupons. I look for them every year.
They're not here, and I used to give away little magazines.
Yeah. Well, some of you boards of directors people, we need to get the Duke's mayonnaise people back, okay? Just saying. I will use Blue Plate. At our house, Mama, I think, just bought whatever was on sale. She mainly would buy the Kraft. And I remember it had a little bit of a lemon kind of flavor, more of the lemon juice. This is her KitchenAid mixer. Now, a lot of people, I've read a lot of recipes for pimento cheese. And pretty much, it's very much what I've heard you guys tell me. Sharp cheddar cheese, I've seen Velveeta, etc. And pretty much all the directions that I've read, they talk about just basically mixing it to combine, and that's it. The thing that my mom did, she used her KitchenAid mixer, and this is actually her mixer. And to quote her, she beat it to death. And pretty much, you know, what does that mean, you know, when we look at how much time? Usually about 5 minutes, I think is good. And right now I've got on about a medium speed. Now, what I do when I make it, you know, if I'm not making her recipe, I will throw in a little hot sauce, maybe some cayenne pepper. I'm not put in jalapenos, but I've had seen places where they do that, and I'm all about breaking rules, but sometimes I think it's important to go back to tradition and go back to certain ways. And for me, with this recipe, this is what my intention is. This is my mother's. This is Mama's pimento cheese. And then I'll stop to scrape my bowl. But I think for me, the part of the difference with how we using the mixer to beat it to death, particularly if you have let the cheese sit out to soften, it leaves it really, really smooth and creamy. And I think when I've offered pimento cheese to people and they're like, ooh, what's in it? They're not sure, they look at it. I think for some people, maybe the texture of traditional pimento cheese, where if you don't mix it and it's a little more textured, I guess for lack of a better word, maybe for some people that's not very appealing. But I think when I've served the pimento cheese this way, most people seem to really be willing to at least try it, and once they try it, they really do like it. What are some reasons or occasions that you guys use or serve pimento cheese? What's that? Like an hors d'oeuvre, and like what would you serve it on? Sure, what in particular kind of cracker? Club or Ritz. I'm all about Ritz crackers. I actually live across the street from an Aldi, and so I go there, on occasion to buy stuff. And so, I don't know, any of you guys ever shop at Aldi? It's one of those things. It's the kind of place that some of their stuff is really good quality. In fact, my cheese came from Aldi, and I bought their version of Ritz. I forgot what they're called, like Savaritz or something, and they weren't bad. I mean, I think it would be hard for me to really try to have someone convince me that they were Ritz crackers, but all in all, I think in a pinch they would work pretty good. I've had them on saltines. I love a pimento cheese sandwich. That's probably my favorite way to eat it. Have you guys thought of any other ways, a little more different? What about you guys? Celery. Okay, so if you're trying to eat healthy, you get a little bit of the crunch, and you get a little bit of the savory from the pimento cheese. Say it again? It does taste good that way. On zucchini? Okay. Any uncooked vegetable, okay? Tell me that again. Long as my sweet potato. Have you guys any of you ever been to the Varsity in Atlanta? Okay. So I remember going there as a child and ordering a cheeseburger, and how it was served, it had pimento cheese on it. So that was something that I thought of earlier as a child. I actually created a recipe one time, and this is about where I want it. I actually created a recipe for a contest. I did not win. It was a Martha White contest, and I think the only requirement was that you use one of their packaged muffin mixes. So basically, the name of my recipe was called Pimento Cheese Mini Muffins, and I took them to work and on a few different occasions, and I got a good response from it. That's actually the recipe that I'm willing to share. I think in the introduction they mentioned that I do write a blog, and I'm going to share my website with you before we leave tonight. And I promise that I'll put the recipe for the pimento cheese mini muffins on the website this coming week. You can tell me what you think.